Growing up, my best friend lived like a block away. We'll call him Kevin. Kevin and I were very close, hanging out basically every day, sleepovers every weekend, having most of our classes in elementary school together, riding the bus together, all of the things you expect from your childhood best friend. We had a third friend, Tom, who we were also very close to, and as we got into 5th grade or so, became a trio of friends who were always together. This friend group casually expanded over the years, but until middle school, the main squad was myself, Kevin, and Tom all being really close. Kevin, Tom, and several other guys played soccer growing up. I always wanted to, but I have a genetic lung condition, so I couldn't be much of an athlete. I could play pickup games that we would have in our backyard, but would never be able to do anything more serious than that. So that was an activity that the two of them and some of our other friends did together, and I got left out of, which was fine. I never felt like I had to do literally everything with them. But as we entered high school, this became problematic. All of my friends were on the soccer team in high school, which was much more intense, so they all became much closer to each other, and I got left out. I know this can happen, and I never really got so upset over it. We just started to drift apart during this time. We were all still friends and would hang out pretty frequently, but it became pretty obvious that I was mainly invited to smaller gatherings to increase the body count or for the nostalgia factor, since anytime there were larger gatherings or parties or things like that, I got excluded. I would even know that there were things going on at one of their houses. All of our parents were friends too, so my mom would say Kevin is having some friends over, maybe you should text him to hang out, and reach out only to be ignored entirely. I tried for years to make myself more prominent and get included on things, but by 11th grade it was clear I was like a third tier friend, so I stopped trying so hard and made other friends. I was a little bothered while this was going on, but never truly got mad or anything. I just accepted what happened and moved on to other friends, since they weren't being good ones. We hung out infrequently towards the end of high school, but when we were together it was fine. I never had a bad time or anything. After graduating high school and going to college, I would see them once or twice the first summer, maybe one holiday break, and that was about it. I haven't even talked to Tom since like 2018. The last time I actually hung out with Kevin was in 2017, with the only time since then that we've talked was when I walked by his house with my dog while he was outside, and we chatted for like 5 minutes. I didn't have any ill will towards any of them. I just wasn't going to bother keeping up with a relationship that they didn't care about, which was shown when, as soon as I stopped trying, there was no effort on their part anymore. Cut to present day. After growing up in the Midwest, I live on the West Coast now with my girlfriend. Kevin still lives in our hometown, and Tom and our other friends are scattered around the Midwest/New England area. I know they all still hang out whenever they are in town together, which is fine. This April, Kevin gave me a call and asked for my address, saying that he is getting married. I've met the fiancé, so it's not like this was out of the blue this fall and wants to invite me. I was fine with this and figured it would be a good chance to see everyone again and catch up. No problem, right? Well, I guess I had more resentment deep down than I thought. Last week, Kevin posted his bachelor party on Facebook, and every single one of his groomsmen are from our friend group in middle/high school. There were a few like Tom that I expected to be in there, and I wasn't mad that I wasn't asked to be a groomsman, since we don't really talk anymore. But the fact that every single guy he would call his best friends is from 10 years ago, and he hasn't made any close friendships since high school, really bothered me. Like I haven't gone more than a couple hours without thinking about it and getting mad. So I've now been wondering if I even want to go to the wedding. I appreciate the invite but don't really feel like I want to spend $1,000 on flights for me and my girlfriend just to go watch them all be best friends forever and get left out again. I originally figured that I would at least get to sit at a table at the wedding with old friends to catch up, but every single person would be sitting at the wedding party table, so I won't get that. I told my mom I didn't think I was going to go, haven't gotten the official invitation, so I wouldn't be canceling an RSVP or anything, and she got upset by this. She is still friends with Kevin's mom, and they hang out all the time. All of the parents and siblings of our friend group got invited, since we were over at each other's houses so much. I mostly kept her in the dark when all this stuff was happening to me in high school. I would just say I didn't feel like going over to hang out with them. I explained that Kevin and my old friends weren't really good friends to me the past 8 years and I don't really want to waste my time trying to go. I told her she's welcome to go, but I wasn't committed to going just for the sake of nostalgia, and didn't want to drudge up bad memories. She and my sister told me I was being unreasonable, and I should go. Kevin and his family have done so much for me over the years, letting me stay over, giving me food. I mean so much to them, all that stuff. And sure, I probably did accumulate costs of a few $1,000s over 16 years, but that's not enough for me to consider him a big part of my life anymore. The relationship ran its course, and I'm okay with that, and don't need to push for something more. I grew out of that when I was 16. Am I being unreasonable for not going? And is there any way I can better explain this to my family, who think I'm being a jerk for not wanting to go? TL. Doctor, my childhood friend group slowly kicked me out of the friend group in high school. Now my former best friend is getting married, but I don't feel like going to the wedding, but my family thinks I'm being unreasonable. Don't go. I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin's mom asked him to invite you. Because she doesn't want to alienate her friend. Ops mom. I've been to a wedding like this. I had an awful time for exactly the reasons you're imagining. I'm much older than you, and I still definitely would not take my limited vacation time and discretionary money to go to a wedding. That will make me miserable. Don't go. It's perfectly reasonable to set this boundary, and attending this wedding just to make your mom happy is super unreasonable. Imo. I did too. My very best friend from HS got married. I was at the table in the back with kinda the leftovers. I left early. It was just miserable. If you didn't have to travel for it, I would say go, eat his food, drink his wine, chat with some people and leave when you get bored. But since traveling expenses are involved, I agree with you. I would politely pass. It took you a while to let go of your feelings about being excluded from your friend group. I know how hard that can be, and you don't want to reopen those old wounds. You don't need to set yourself on fire just to make someone else feel warm. Stay home, go out to a nice dinner with your girlfriend, and leave the past in the past where it belongs. This is a great opportunity to not want to spend the money on traveling, or can't afford to take the time off, or any excuse along those lines. Spend that money on a fun trip with you and your girlfriend. No need to go to a wedding where you are no longer close and were ignored for years. No reason to feel guilty. You are doing nothing wrong. You do not need to explain why you are not going to anyone. Sorry, I have a prior engagement. It's the perfect excuse to make and replaces what would be a kinda bad day with an amazing day instead. Man, don't go. Save that money. Friendships run their course. You've accepted that. Your family need to make your own choice. Your family's opinions are not a factor. You're 24. You don't have to go anywhere that you don't want to go. That's the entire point of being an adult. Exactly. He doesn't need his mom's permission to stay home. Nah man. It's only going to build more resentment if you go. It was a good friendship while you were little, it sounds like, and it eventually ran its course. Cherish and put away those memories, and don't try to open other doors of resentment. I don't think you're being unreasonable. If it's a big deal to him that you're not there, then he should treat you better. But if it's not a big deal to him, which, sorry if this stings, I suspect is the case, then there's not really any reason for you to go anyway, particularly given the costs. Relationships end, and it sucks. It's shitty that such a long friendship of yours ended, something that was once a big part of your life. But it did end and things happen. It's not as if you're wanting to confront him about it, or whatever. You're simply looking out for you, which is fine. He looked out for himself. You should only pull your leg out for people who are willing to do the same in return. Sorry, but F all these people. They don't get a vote in whether or not you attend a meaningless wedding of someone who barely factors into your life anymore. If you actually do get an invite, Send a nice gift card and let that be how you cut this tie to a life that doesn't represent you anymore. Take that grand and go someplace amazing with your GF and just let go of all these people. Mute them or unfriend them. Don't follow their lives. They are ISCHOOL*. In 10 years, you won't even remember some of their names. Same thought. Mom's being crappy to Op to what? Save face? Old friend doesn't reach out to Op, except to invite him to costly trip he'll be ignored at. No one actually cares that he's there, just that the optics are good. Plus, who actually gives a res*******? If someone doesn't make it to a wedding, someone in the wedding party or an important family member sure might look bad not showing up. But a neighborhood friend that hasn't been a part of the group for 10 years. Ridiculous to even think anyone but mom will care. Would Kevin or Tom or any of that crew drop $1000s on plane tickets and hotels to come to your wedding on the West Coast? No? Try using that reasoning to get your family off your back. At this point, Op wouldn't be wrong to go very low contact and or time out on his family, especially since 1. He doesn't live there anymore and 2. He never technically got date nor time of when the wedding and or reception, doesn't know which one he was invited to, plus 3. Super last minute no official invite. So pretty much a moot point of not going anyway. That's on top Op is never inviting Kevin or Tom to his wedding, and the way his own family is acting toward him over people who technically nothing but strangers to him, they may not get invited either. Dude, you are valid in your feelings. So very valid. I recently skipped out on my little cousin's wedding because he talks to me once a year when he comes through town, visits me for 30 minutes before he's off to his other cousin's house where he will stay 4 days. He also talks to me in a condescending tone half the time. I'm the daughter of the black sheep in the fam. When he invited me to his wedding, I was shocked. I had planned on going until I counted the cost and was like, hell no, I'm not spending that much money to go to this wedding when he barely even acknowledges my existence, let alone have to be around some racist family members. Hard pass. If you feel like it will be a waste of money and that you will be uncomfortable, don't go. Take your GF on a mini vacation at the exact same time of the wedding instead lol. Do what's best for you. If I was in your shoes I would not want to go either. Send a card, maybe toss a gift card in there, and call it day, if that. Your parents and sister did not experience the pain you did. They are focused on themselves and how your absence may make them look. If they are allowed to be selfish then why can't you? Edit. Wanted to add, by no way do you seem to be exaggerating or anything like that. I genuinely feel your feelings towards this friend and friend group are valid, and most people in your position would feel the same, if not more intensely against it. You could show your mom and sees your post and all the answers, maybe then they'll understand your side of the story. Is it your family's decision, or is it yours? Folks, we need to stop putting so much emphasis on what our relatives believe. That's their business. I wouldn't even factor in the cost of Kevin's family hosting you and giving you food when you were a kid, unless they literally raised you, and even then, you owe them nothing. They were inviting you over for Kevin's sake, not yours. And besides, surely your family did the same for Kevin on occasion too. You said that your mom used to tell you when there was a social event happening when you were teenagers and encourage you to reach out to them. So sounds to me like your mom knew that Kevin and co weren't including you when you were a kid. Seems weird of her to care more about her friend than her son. The best interpretation is that she thinks going to the wedding would be good for you. You know yourself better. On this occasion she is wrong. Don't let her and your sister's feelings about their friendship group influence you into wasting precious time and cash doing something that you are almost certain won't be worth it. To be fair on your mom, she's just now learning from you that things weren't as they seemed for all those years, so she likely still has it in her head you were all the best of friends while in high school. It's a very mom mindset, assuming that someone you were friend with 10 years ago is still a bestie. That being said, don't go. It's a lot of money for one evening. You can blame it on work, or flight costs or literally anything. Unfortunately it sounds like your friend won't really mind either way. It's likely it was his mom who pushed him to invite you anyways. It's not a very mom insert to not notice your son hasn't been around in your mom kid friend group since high school when he's 24. You'd think *ANY* mom in that friend group would notice one kid's absent and ask questions. Oh, no, don't do this to yourself. You're going to spend the whole time thinking about this and stewing in resentment and maybe beating yourself up. What a waste of time. What a risk to what sounds to me like some incredible emotional stability on your part. To what end? And for what profit? I'd say you're not being unreasonable. Friends drift apart. Nothing wrong with appreciating those friends' achievements from a distance. Your mom probably just figured that y'all were still close, like you were before high school. You are 24 years old and need to do what your feelings say is the right thing to do. Be strong. You know that you have been marginalized. Don't go. You'll resent spending the money. Use it for something that would make you happy. She and my sister told me I was being unreasonable and I should go. Kevin and his family have done so much for me over the years, letting me stay over, giving me food. I mean so much to them, all that stuff. I'm assuming your family has done the same for him, so this isn't even a good argument. Book a vacation for yourself that same time for you and your girlfriend someplace fabulous. Don't go to the wedding. It isn't worth your time. That's a long way to go and lots of money to spend. Just thank him for the invite and say you can't make it. Living far away is a perfect excuse. They haven't hung out in 5 years. Kevin hasn't called or texted or nothing in 5 years. Logically that S*** is dead. If you have friends who haven't called you in 5 years and you say it's cooled down, you're in denial. There was a whole 6 months where the world shut down. If he didn't get a "hey it's been a while" text during the pandemic, that S*** is dead. No point in kissing a corpse. Don't go. It's your life, not your mom's or sister's. Also going isn't a cost-neutral decision for you, even if you weren't also going to probably deal with negative emotions through the entire event. You have to travel and pay those costs and extra effort/time spent. If you want to be polite, send them a card congratulating them on the wedding and apologizing for not being able to make it. If they even end up inviting you, it's entirely possible, as others suggested, that your friend only reached out to you because he was asked to by his mom, and if you haven't received an invitation, maybe you're not actually getting one. To any folks advising to go for free booze and food, just stop. At no point have resentment and an open bar ever produced anything good. You keep saying you never harbored resentment for slowly being left out of your group, but clearly it has, and this wedding was the catalyst for bubbling this back up. I won't say you need a therapist, but seeing a therapist and going over these feelings will help you so much. I had some high school drama that I also didn't think was a big deal until one day I had to meet my version of your Kevin, and it brought back tons of resentful feelings. With help from a professional, I was able to accept what happened and better understand how I felt then and how I feel now. Go to therapy. Therapy isn't taboo. Do it in secret if you want. I think you would benefit from talking to a professional about these feelings and working through them. If you do not talk to a therapist, you will work through it anyway and you'll be fine. But I think, judging from the resentment you carry and its potential to linger and resurface repeatedly later on because your family's still attached, suggests to me that therapy would equip you with the ammo to fight back. If you feel any relief from just typing all this out and getting feedback from strangers, realize that's kind of the same thing, except the difference is that all these internet strangers are not professionals and don't really have time/interest to truly get to know you. Therapy will help you know yourself and talk out all this resentment, which I think gives you the ammo to ward off any and all future permutations of conflict, which will inevitably bubble up in the form of a convo with your mom or future wedding from a diff friend. Be progressive, skip the wedding, invest in yourself, stop looking back. The point of weddings is to celebrate the new life of two people you love and who love you. This is not that relationship, and that is okay. I wish I had not invited people for old time's sake or because it was etiquette. Just because you two are not friends doesn't mean you wish him ill will, but that's hard for people to see oftentimes. I would stay home and send a card if you feel inclined. I would go if it's local just to dress up and drink their booze. but using up vacation days and wasting money to travel there? Not worth it. Go where you want to go and not where you're expected to be just because you were friends 10 years ago. It's time to be a big boy. Make your choice and stand by it. You've got reasons to go and not to. You are your own person. You always have been. Time to act like it. You wanna go, hang out, have a few beers with folks you grew up with, fine. Go, do that. No, that's what it is. It's memory lane. You've all grown up, gone your ways, and nostalgia is all you have. Or don't. Realize the glory days are over. You've all grown up, chosen your paths. You've moved on, so have your friends. Wide well and live in what is gone. I understand it's a bit sore, but this is part of being an adult. You can have friends, but friends are different now, and a BFF isn't really a thing. Be your own person. Make your choices for your reasons. Live your life the way you want. Your past is baggage, and why we see proper we hate every 10 months.